I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. And I sure do love my job. Yeah. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I'm born to preach the gospel. I sure do love my job. Yeah. Yes, I really love my job. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Oh, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Yes, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Get firmly rooted. So let's get firmly rooted. Let's get firmly rooted. So let's get firmly rooted. Oh, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Let's get firmly rooted. Firmly rooted. Let's get firmly rooted. Yeshua, 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 Yeshua. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. We're disciples that make disciples that make disciples. We are disciples that make disciples that make disciples. We are disciples that make disciples that make disciples. Let's keep firmly rooted. Firmly rooted.
Hey, good morning, Rooted Men. Pastor Tom, Firmly Rooted Ministries. Nope, this is not Stevie G. This is not Steve Drew. This is Pastor Tom. Steve has taken his better half to get some tests done, and I think he's on. So we'll mention that here in a second. But so be praying for Diane, who's got some tests and procedures, kind of like the stuff I've been going through. She's going to go through some of that today, and Steve's making sure that she gets through all that and gets home. So he asked me to pick up the devotion, and I'm glad to do it. Chris Connolly, good morning. Brian Vlaming, good morning. Ken Gooch, good morning, fellow brothers in arms. Tom Donnelly says, good morning, Rooted Men. There's Steve Drew. Good morning. Bert Reggiani, good morning, gentlemen. Steve Drew, he's from a waiting room in Rochester, like I expected, already at the first test that's going on. So our prayers are with Diane and also with you as you rest in the waiting. Today's devotion is from Proverbs chapter 3. We're moving towards the end of this particular chapter, and we're looking at verse 30. I want you to remember our conversation yesterday and the emphasis on if we would just, inside of our own spirit, inside of our own soul, create a proper appreciation and value for wisdom and discernment that comes right from the throne of heaven, right from God himself. versus trying to figure out stuff by ourselves, trying to solve problems by ourselves, trying to calm the waves and the winds by ourselves. Solomon is trying to make a clear picture of how we could probably have much better lives if we would just stop doing some of the things we're doing in controlling the stuff out there and start asking God to help me see the stuff out there from your perspective. And so I'm not going to reiterate all those promises, but now Proverbs turns a little bit introspective in verse 30. In verse 28 yesterday, he said, if you owe something to someone, pay them back. Like, don't make them come to you. You go to them. You go make sure that you made things right, got things squared away. If somebody let you borrow something, whatever it might be, it's just don't linger in that space where it might come across that you're taking advantage of someone's kindness, and now all of a sudden ugly feelings are developed. He also says in verse 30 or 29, do not plan evil against your neighbor who dwells trustingly beside you. Right? That those stepping stones. And then he says in verse 30, do not contend with a man for no reason when he has done you no harm. And so both in 29 and 30, he's saying, watch out for how you perceive others and what goes on inside your head and what comes out of your mouth and what comes out of your actions when it comes to other people, because you've created some judgments, you've created some thoughts and ideas, you maybe have some prejudices. It goes all the way back to the 7th commandment that we should not bear false witness against our neighbor, but we should put the best construction on everything. That they too are like us, human beings, sinful, weak, broken. That rather judgment, we should have compassion and mercy, patience, love. We should love our neighbor as ourselves. We should even love our enemies and pray for them, as Jesus says. Stop looking for the fight. Stop looking for the argument, even if the other person is. Stop. Don't need to join. Don't need to be part of it. Quit being quit having your sights on the specks in everybody else's eye, but not willing to take care of the log that's in your own eye. Solomon is saying, be careful. Folly will get you focused on all the things out there and have you making judgments and having you make conclusions and having feelings about people. And before you know it, you're judge and jury over someone you never even talked to, or never even talked to them about whatever it is you've judged them on. Do not contend with any man for no reason, for the stuff that's just going on inside your head or something that you heard in gossip. Realize that he's done you no harm. You've already created conclusions about someone that, one, you may have never talked to, and two, has done you no harm. Don't get out in front of your skis, I think, is what he's trying to tell us, because you're going to tumble. Stay centered. Stay humble. Quick to listen and slow to speak. Quick to listen and slow to speak, and slow to judge. Slow to condemn. Make sure you got yourself checked first. Make sure you got the stuff out of your own eyes before you're going to go in and try to take the stuff out of someone else's eyes. It's all good. It's all good. Stuff that our sinful nature will just roll and go so fast that we can't keep up with it. And we need to slow that old nature down. And we need to start navigating from our new nature. I hope this kind of makes sense. These proverbs are just kind of like obvious aha things, but really they're only obvious to those who have the Holy Spirit in them, because the natural man cannot accept the things of the Spirit of God because they're foolishness to him, and he does not understand them because they're spiritually appraised. At the core of wisdom is the Spirit of God speaking to us the truth of God from the love of God, which should always be our core motivation. Love. If it ain't love, stop it. I know it's harder to do than to say, but that's it, right? We should constantly have ourselves in check before we start putting other people in check. All right, I'll leave it at that. I hope that this devotion is a blessing to you. I'll be back at 8:30. Aaron's got something going on, and so I'll be doing the Strengthening Our Roots devotion for those of you who are going to check in on that as well. Guys, blessings on your day. Make it a firmly rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.